Welcome to You Just Have to Laugh, back with the podcast. People have come up to me and asked me or write me or call me and say, all this stuff you talk about with life priority, with Durk Pearson, Lift, Mind, and on, Ageless, V-Guard, Life Shield. Does this stuff really work? Or are you just saying that? Are they paying you? Are they paying you to do this stuff and to say this stuff? Michelle Pryor, are you guys paying me?
No. It's funny you say that because that was one of the things that Greg and I felt was very important from an integrity standpoint, that you would want anybody that would talk about your products to do it because they love the products.
I love the products because they work. Already this sounds like an infomercial. And I don't want it to be an infomercial because I wanted to talk to you because you have an incredible story, Michelle. And we've talked about this in previous podcasts, but not in depth with this of how this stuff works, because you're 70 plus, I'm 70, and you get to an age when all of a sudden things aren't working like they used to. The energy's low, coffee's not cutting it, soft drinks are no good. They may have caffeine, but the sugar's killing you. God knows what it's doing to you. And then people want to know, well, Master, you're 70. You don't look 70. What's with this energy? What's in it? I'm telling you, it's this stuff. So that's why we're talking to you, Michelle. Thanks for joining us. Michelle Pryor, Life Priority.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. And we're in 50 countries now, so don't get nervous.
Okay.
I want everybody to hear this because you were in a traffic accident when you were how old?
I was my senior year in college. It was 1975. I lived in Utah, and it was in the winter, and I was on a place called the Mountain Road, and sometimes it can be foggy and slippery, and out of nowhere, I got hit head on.
Okay, you got hit on, you had hit the dash, and you weren't right after that. I want to put a freeze on that just for a second. When you were 16, 17, 18, when you were in high school, you told me you never even had to study. You just had this ability to see things or hear things, especially see things, and you could just remember.
I really prided myself on having a good memory, and like I said, in school I did fairly well, and I really didn't study that much. It came naturally.
Okay, after the wreck, let's go back to when you're 26. After the wreck, and then your brain it didn't work right.
Well, I woke up in the hospital, and I had learned that it had been like a 13-car pileup and whatever. But I did not remember anything. And sitting there and having people look at me, and I was trying to communicate, but nobody seemed to understand what I was saying. So it
made sense. Hold on a second. It made sense in your brain. You knew what you were telling them or wanting to tell them, but it wasn't coming out that way.
Right. Well, my head hurt, but I really didn't understand the perspective of anything that was going on.
Gotcha.
It's just that none of my wording was coming out right. So nobody could understand me.
Okay. So how did you function after that? How did you get back to living life?
Great question. Well, remember, this is in 1975, and medicine technology has come a long way since then.
And the Beatles had broken up.
Yes, absolutely. But mainly what I remember is just being in a hospital bed and just being left there and having nurses in and out. I don't remember any brain therapy or brain scans or anything like that. But I was given a yellow notebook, and I wrote things down for a period of time. And the numbers that I remember are read it, write it, repeat it, remember it. Those were the things that I was given back in 1975 to try to get my brain back. And eventually I feel, because I was youthful enough, that things did start to come back. But I definitely had lapses in my memory where, I couldn't remember my grandfather had died. There were other things that people had told me, or I'd ask questions.
That a normal 26-year-old that had not been in a wreck would just easily remember all this stuff.
Well, you think so. And, that's what kind of was concerning to me is, was my memory going to come back? Because I was, like I said, on my way to take my final exam. So I had to restudy again for my final and go back and take my final after.
How'd you do? How'd you do in your final?
You know, I passed.
Did you?
So I've got a bachelor's, and I'm happy I got it.
Good for you. So you went on and you cognitively came back. Were you on medication at this time?
You know, yes, I was on a lot of things. And, you know, my mom was a nurse. She actually worked at the hospital. And so never thought one word about any of the medications or consequences or things. I was in a lot of pain.
Okay.
And other than that, to be very honest, David, I see newspaper clippings of it or was given things, but I do not remember a whole lot of it. It's kind of like a black hole.
Okay. This is important medication. I just wanted to lay that out to the listeners. It's important that they know you're on medication. We'll come back to that at a later point. So fast forward to how many years? Now you're in a bus accident.
Right. So I finished college.
You got to stay out of moving vehicles, Michelle.
Oh, I could tell you some stories. But you know what? None of them were my fault. That's the interesting part.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
I seem to be a target. But fast forward, after I graduated, I had been teaching snow skiing in Utah, and I met one of the owners of an airline, Texas International, and I was offered a job, so I went ahead and took it. Fast forward 3 years later, I met Greg.
You're a flight attendant.
I'm a flight attendant.
And you meet Greg Pryor, who was, at that moment, ladies and gentlemen, is a professional Major League Baseball player.
Right. He played for the White Sox. So it was a White Sox team charter. And we got married shortly after that. And then...
Was it love at first sight when you saw him on the plane? He saw
no, but you know what intrigued me about Greg? I love books. And he was reading a book called The Inner Game of Tennis, which is all about the psychology of how to, have your brain. That's something that has always been an interest to me, was that. So I had gone to see Greg play in Canada in 1980, and the game was in a rain delay.
Hold on a second, just so the listeners know. Were you married at the time?
We were married.
Okay, you're married. A couple years later, you did what? Okay.
The very next year.
Oh, very next year. Okay.
Yep. So 1980, we were married in January of 79. 1980, I was in Canada watching Greg play. The game was in a rain delay. And so I decided to take the bus to the airport, fly home with the team. And in the process, the bus lost control and I got in another accident. And I got both right and left brain trauma from this bus accident. And flew home with the team flight, and for wear and tear, I didn't look bad. I mean, other people looked pretty bad, but, I seemed okay. And got back to Chicago, and I had both right and left brain trauma.
And of course, and I'm guessing it could have re-injured something that happened in the earlier wreck.
Right.
Okay, so... After all this, again, things aren't going well cognitively for you, and Greg has retired. Folks, we have a reason for telling you all this, so hang with us. This is all important detail. It really is. And then Greg is now retired from baseball.
Correct.
And he's working at a job selling insurance, which, folks, I don't know if you know this, but entertainers like professional athletes, we need adrenaline. We got to have adrenaline. We want to work and do it. So when you're going to do a job from 9 to 5 or something like that, you're bored out of your mind, even though you want to be a good man and raise money for your family. And you noticed a difference in Greg.
Well, it was interesting because I had struggled with my brain. And by this time, I have 3 small children under the age of 5. When I flew for the airlines, I drank coffee to keep up with the lifestyle and the late flights and actually got stomach ulcers. So I quit drinking coffee and went to Coca-Cola.
Oh.
And yeah, I would drink, I hate to really say this, but it's the truth. I would drink between 8 to 10 Coca-Colas a day because I needed that caffeine to get me going, not really understanding what it was doing to my body.
Especially the sugars.
Right. So fast forward to 91 when Greg got involved with some products that Durk Pearson created. I noticed that he had been drinking a lot of coffee, was moody, was irritable, just had no get up and go. He didn't even want to go work out anymore. So once he started taking the Lift and the Mind, I noticed that he had more energy. He was smiling more. He was happier. I mean, he was just a much better person.
Just by drinking. Was that when it was in powder form?
Yes.
Okay, it's a powder form. Lift and Mind. You've heard me talk about this before on other podcasts, but Lift and Mind is in powder. You mix it with water and you drink it, and it's best on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. And you saw a difference in Greg big time.
Oh, like the very first time he took it. I mean, it was almost like, what happened to this guy? And from that point, I decided to try it myself and absolutely loved it and started using it on a regular basis. And what I found is it gave me the energy to keep up with 3 small children under the age of 5, a husband who was busy and active creating a new career after sports. And, I fell in love with Durk and Sandy and their science and the integrity that they put into their products because they created them actually for themselves.
Real quickly, folks, Durk Pearson and Sandy Shaw came up with what they call designer foods that Life Priority now has. And we did a previous podcast with Durk. Listen to this podcast. You'll find out that what he creates and what he knows what he's talking about. He's a scientist as well.
He does.
MIT, triple graduate.
Triple major, triple minor out of MIT.
At MIT, because I joked with them because I said, what, no good state schools, Durk? and so that's just with Durk and Sandy because they developed this for themselves. But Michelle, let's get back to you. What did the mind powder, the drink, and the Lift do to you cognitively that made a difference that you could tell right away?
Well, if you noticed, I made both you and I a drink right now.
We're drinking it now as we speak, mixed with water.
When I drink Mind, it's got choline and it's got the B vitamins in it, and all of these are known to really supply the brain with nutrients that really can fire it up. So for me, I just feel more alert. I feel more alert. I feel better cognitively in my communication skills because knowing that I've already had 2 brain traumas. I've had a frontal concussion and I've had both right and left. This is something I have to work at every single day. And I feel like I'm more on task. I don't feel as ADD. I feel more motivated. I drink this and have every single day for the last 30 years.
So you go to Costco. That was a great story that you told me earlier. You go to Costco, and you didn't take any of your supplements that morning, and you went there to get some stuff, and things weren't going well.
Right. Well, actually, what had happened, I'd gotten up really early, like at 5:30, because I had, things with all kinds of things.
Sure.
I'm helping take care of my parents. And I've got some kids who are dealing with some different issues. We all know how life is.
That's just life.
But so I had taken them.
It's causing you major stress.
Oh, my gosh. I mean.
Oh, you did take them that morning?
Yeah, I had taken them. But there was so much stuff going on with everything that was going on in our lives. It was literally overwhelming. I didn't even want to talk to anybody because when I feel that I'm overwhelmed, I don't want to burden anybody else with my burden. So I just kind of internalize and I journal. But I had gone to Costco to take a break. And I got there and I usually have a routine where I put my purse in the cart, my car keys, everything together. Well, I get in there and I can't find my cell phone to find my grocery list. I can't find my car keys. I mean, I was just like an absolute disaster. And I went into panic mode, in a severe anxiety panic mode. And so I just grabbed all my stuff, went and went right back out to the car, came right back home, took all my vitamins, and I went and sat down on the couch, and I just closed my eyes for 15 minutes. And as everything started regenerating in my brain, I felt better. I pulled myself together, and then I went back out and finished my grocery shopping.
You get up, you took it first thing in the morning, 5:30. By the time you went to Costco and came back, what time was it?
I think I went probably close to noon. So,
Okay.
there's tons of people there. I mean, finding a car place.
Yeah, but what I'm looking at is the wearing off, if you will, of the lift in mind.
Sure.
Because when you take it on an empty stomach, it really goes. And the nice thing about lift in mind versus a Coca-Cola, if you will, or any kind of caffeine or sugar, there's a crash.
Right.
Or ba-boom, you're down. With this stuff, there's no crash.
Right.
I mean, it's like the perfect landing airplane on a windless day. You just land. It's really easy. And so once you took this and regenerated and went back, it made a difference.
Right. Well, and Durk and Sandy call these designer foods because they're meant to be a complement to the foods that you're eating.
Right.
So when you eat, but then you haven't eaten for a little while and you've had an active day, I mean, you got to replenish your food supply for your body.
Nutrition.
So it has the fuel. So that's the way I looked at it. And I am just really passionate about the mind for the brain, especially since so many people right now are struggling with brain fog. I just think mind is a perfect product to try.
And if you try the lift and the mind together, it makes a difference. And so once you saw this with your hubby, and he started taking the lift in mind, and you started taking it as well, at that time you guys weren't actually in the full-time supplement business, were you?
No, we weren't. But
what made you then go? Is it because this stuff really works? Because you guys are so passionate about this, and one of the few people that actually Durk communicates with
right.
on a regular basis. He's a very private man,
right.
and does some extraordinary work, which we cannot mention, of course, because of the privacy of what he does, and all great stuff. But at the same time, you guys are onto something here that very few people really know about, because, Michelle, we are inundated with absolute rubbish every day on the internet, on health food stores, on all this stuff that just isn't quality.
Right.
It's crap.
Right. Well, one of the things that when Greg and I first started, we met Durk and Sandy in 91, but we started Life Priority in 94. And we started it because the products were of such added value to our lives that we didn't want to ever see it go away, and we wanted control. So we created Life Priority, and money never has, nor will money never be our first objective. It's the health and well-being of ourselves and of our clients.
Gotcha. And it shows. Folks, the products are called Mind and Lift, and you have so many other ones if they go to Life Priority. The reason I'm laughing is because when you listen to the podcast we did with Durk, Greg and I did the podcast with Durk.
It was phenomenal.
It really was. And to hear him talk, and he's going to do another one coming up with us, that be sure to listen to, is coming up, and it's going to be about how we can prepare our body for the upcoming flu season, because you guys understand nothing and I think this is really important that we talk about this, you guys. Your products do not claim to cure something or to fix something completely. No. They're just supplements that can add on to get your body healthy and healthier.
They're a health insurance policy. You buy life insurance for whatever possibilities. These are a supplemental health insurance policy that is 100% goes straight to you and the investment. There's nothing more you can do.
Nothing. The reason I'm laughing is with life insurance, you have to die to get the benefits.
Exactly.
Here you don't have to die. Here it gives you a longer life.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. You're going to say something.
Well, I was just going to say, it's the quality of life. And that's where my passion is with Life Priority, because I want to do the best I can as long as I can for the right reasons to find out what my purpose in life is.
I think you found it. And, the great thing about you and Greg, again, that's so wonderful, is people trust you. which is the
thank you.
which is the greatest thing you can have with any product or any relationship. Durk, Pearson, and Sandy trust you. They trust you.
Right.
You know, I trust with doing this with you guys. So again, folks, this is not intended to be an infomercial in that way where you just have to laugh as being paid for this. I have found that humor and laughter, Michelle, help people get through a difficult time, as well as helping other people, faith and music. That gets us through it. Your products actually help people. That's why we're featuring you on You Just Have to Laugh.
Well, thank you.
Go to Life Priority, Health, Lift and Mind. Start off with those. Take them every day. Start off with an empty stomach. Then you can take one in the morning and afternoon. And watch what it does to you. It's going to make a difference, especially you old coots out there.
Absolutely.
To do that.
Don't ever give up on your brain health, ever.
And you're proof of that. Folks, stay amused, keep laughing, and stay healthy. We'll listen to each other next time.